Team Godzilla and Team King Kong are back once again, and Godzilla is just having the time of his life. Welcome back to the channel. It's Epictastic Joshua here, and I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on the latest film in the Monsterverse and the filmographies of King Kong and Godzilla. Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. This is the 38th movie of Godzilla's after -1, and this is the 13th movie after King Kong and the 5th movie in the Monsterverse. This is once again written by the same different team. This is directed once again by Wingard and stars some actors from the last movie along with some new guys. So let's talk about this one. Following their explosive showdown, Godzilla and Kong must reunite against a colossal undiscovered threat hidden within our world, challenging their very existence and their own. Godzilla and King Kong are two of the most iconic film creatures we have seen in the filmography over the years. They've gone through the black and white era, they've gone through the World War II era, they've gone through the remakes era, they've gone through the Monsterverse era, and so they've pretty much been through it all, despite some very up and downs when it comes to a lot of shit that they've gone through. Of course, the Monsterverse I've really enjoyed, and to think that this is the 10-year anniversary of it is actually really awesome. I love Godzilla 2014, despite its issues. King of the Monsters is a very underrated film. I also really enjoyed Kong Skull Island, even if it's not my favorite. And Godzilla vs. Kong I really love, to the point where I actually have the movie on DVD. So I was very much looking forward to this because we were going to get more of the Godzilla King Kong awesomeness, and I love seeing these two together on screen. This is pretty much a fan's wet dream, even if you're not the biggest kaiju fan. So I was very excited to go into this from the trailers because it looks stupid, ridiculous, dumb, and just plain fun, over the top. But is exactly what I got. It's dumb, it's ridiculous, it's over the top, and it's dumb. But Godzilla and Kong is very entertaining, and it accepts what it is. A big budget monster film with spectacle. If you're going into this ready to compare it to Godzilla -1, you're going to be extremely disappointed because this is harkening back to the Showa era of Godzilla. And for the people who are hating on this movie, if you don't enjoy this movie, that's completely fine. Which is, I need to make the disclaimer now. But to those who are going to automatically trash this because it's not something like -1 or Shin Godzilla or even the 1933 King Kong movie or 2005 movies or the 1954 Godzilla movie, just look at this as a dumb popcorn movie and have fun. But if you don't like this movie, I'm not going to call you stupid, I'm not going to make fun of you, and I'm not going to say you're wrong. Starting off with the positives, of course, you gotta say this automatically: the visual spectacle is on screen. The visuals, the cinematography by our cinematographer, the production design, the effects work, the competent filmmaking is all really interesting from a visual level. So if you're coming to the Godzilla and Kong visuals, all of that is very well done, and I think that is easily the selling part of the movie. You're coming to this to get some good kaiju action, and that's what I wanted. Some dumb, over the top action, and I just wanted to have me some kaiju fun. Okay, I love creature features, I love shark movies, I love low budget B movies when you do it right. And I like Godzilla and King Kong movies, even if they're not always the best, which I still at some point want to finish talking about both of their filmographies and do a ranking of each ones. But I'll say this is no Godzilla -1, which I still need to review that. I will say this does do a good job in terms of what we are getting here. It's actually really interesting, and I definitely do like what we're getting here. So you definitely really enjoy what she goes for in terms of the movie, and I do like the action. Adam Wingard directs this very well. He has fun when it comes to this in both of these characters. You also have some great cinematography by Ben Saracen. I love the pace of the movie. When it gets to the action, it gets you in and out. I definitely enjoy that. Music by Tom Holkenborg and Antonio De Iorio is really well done. And it's just amazingly creative. $135 million, they put it to great use. I really love the fact that this movie does take advantage of an interesting idea that we built off from Godzilla vs. Kong. We're actually into the Hollow Earth, and we get to see the Hollow Earth and how that comes around, while also seeing that these creatures have to fight a bigger threat than themselves to survive. And you also just have the interesting aspects I thought were absolutely creative. And I also really did enjoy the fact that even though this is a Godzilla movie and he may not be in this as much as Kong, Godzilla is still front and center when you see him. But when it's King Kong, it's a much more human thing. I like the fact that they want to make Kong a little more human, and I like the fact that they actually want to go into that and make it interesting. So I definitely really enjoy the fact that they focus so much on Kong with Godzilla here. Even though it is a Godzilla movie, but this is more of a King Kong movie too, since Godzilla did have some interesting parts to go on. And I definitely really liked some of the performances here. You have Brian Tyree Henry here. He's entertaining. I liked Kaylee Hoddle as Gia and what they do with her. She's a pretty talented young rising actress, and I do want to see more when it comes to her character. I also liked Fala Chan here as the Eerie Queen and Rachel House as Hampton. And I also really don't mind Alex Ferns here. He did good. He's a Scottish actor. This is one of the first things I've seen him in, so he does pretty good here. In terms of the weakest parts of the acting, I will say Dan Stevens, I appreciate him having fun, and he knows what type of movie he is. He is entertaining to laugh at, but after a while, he just gets very hammy over the top. It's pretty much like the villain characters in the Meg 2 The Trench from last year. And I will say Rebecca Hall is also a bit of a weak link here. She's not terrible, but I just feel like she was a little flat this time around. And I usually don't mind Rebecca Hall in things, but it depends on the material that you're given here. And here she's just fine. You could do a lot worse. Like, you could do a lot better when it comes to the lead characters in Godzilla and Kong 3, or the next Godzilla movie, or the Monsterverse movie. Hell, even the Mothra movie. I would like to see that, which I can't really say. But that's just one of the things in the Monsterverse I would like to see is a Mothra film. Action is there. When you see the action, it's good. It's good action. And this is something you definitely got to see on the big screen possible. So I can see why this movie is making a shit ton of money despite the mixed reaction. Moving into the negatives here, like I said, these characters, this is a big problem when it comes to the Monsterverse in general, is these characters are not always the best. You have some pretty interesting characters I do like spread around. I like some of the characters in Costco Island, like Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson, John C. Reilly, Godzilla 2014. I liked Bryan Cranston. I liked Elizabeth Olsen. Aaron Taylor Johnson was fine, but his character could have been better. I don't hate the guy as an actor. King of the Monsters did have the weakest set of characters, but I thought the performances were enough to get me through. And these two Godzilla vs. Kong movies do have that same issue. So the characters themselves could have been a little bit more fleshed out. But then again, you're not coming to this for the human characters. You come to see the spectacle. So it does come with the territory. The villain is extremely over the top and borderline ridiculous. Like I said, I give credit to where credit is due when it comes to Dan Stevens, but it just gets to a point where it's like, you making me feel like I'm watching Meg to the Trench. And it gets to the point where it's pretty much Bill Nighy in Underworld Rise of the Lycans, where it's like, I am your father, how dare you, so angry. It's like that with Dan Stevens. And I also will say there are some choices in terms of the way they shoot some of the action that could have been a little better. It did feel like you're going into the Roland Emmerich 1998 Godzilla and a little bit of Transformers The Last Night territory, except Adam Wingard is much more competent in terms of what he is doing there. So I do feel like that could have been done a little bit better. And I will say there is a few pacing issues into some of the first half, so I will give credit to that. There are some issues when it comes to the pacing in the first half of this movie, which is one of my few issues. Aside from that, I quite enjoyed Godzilla and Kong: The New Empire. If you're willing to have fun with two creatures just fighting the hell out of another creature with some other adorable creatures like Diddy Kong and such, you can definitely quite enjoy what this movie's giving to you. But if you are going into this expecting Godzilla -1, especially for the recent 70-year-old Academy Award winning G-Man and almost a 100-year-old King Kong, gonna be totally disappointed. But if you're going into this expecting Oscar winning type shit, go watch them Godzilla -1. But if you're willing to have fun and turn your brain off and have some fun, I can see you enjoying this. Just take this for what you will. This is another win of the Monsterverse for me. So I definitely do enjoy this here. Well, that's going to do it for the video that you just watched. If you want to see more, my channel icon is up here. If you want to see more content from me, all my social medias are right here in this end card. I will also leave a playlist and a video here for you to see what the channel is about. As always, acknowledge me, stay epictastic, join the Epictasticness, and you guys keep it cool.